Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 5 of coronavirus revision with Miss Bailey. Hopefully you're all doing well, hopefully you're all staying safe, hopefully getting a little bit of fresh air if you can, but also making sure that you're having a bit of downtime to enjoy yourself rather than just educational stuff all the time. Okay, so today's lesson is following on from the last lesson. So the last lesson that you learnt was looking at addition facts. So these are really, really important that you know them and you know them off by heart, you know them well, rather than relying on other things like counting on your fingers, for example, because there's only really two things in addition where people make mistakes. The first one is because they're not quite sure on their addition subtraction facts, or addition facts in this one, and they might make a silly mistake when they're doing, for example, 8 add 6. They might say 8 add 6 is 15 rather than 14. Therefore, you're going to get one wrong over here. So we're going to be looking at the column method today. So I know a lot of the parents are out there will be able to teach you the column method because they would have learnt it at school as well. Okay. In theory, the column method, as long as you know your adding of any two single-digit numbers, should be quite easy. There's only really two ways that you can make mistakes. The first one is if you make a mistake with your adding calculations. So, for example, as I just said, you say that 6 add 8 is 15 rather than 14. Or if you forget to carry. So we'll talk about that more in a moment. So it's really important when we are adding using the column method that we know where our numbers lie on our place value chart. Okay. Before you move on to this, your teacher would have wanted you to have a secure knowledge of addition anyway. So for example, the number 345 is 3 hundreds, 40 or 4 tens, and 5 ones. Okay. It's really important that we're using this language and vocabulary while we are adding, because we don't look at a number and go, well, it's 3 add 6 equals 9. Well, it is, in context of this, if it was 300 add 600 would be 900. That is correct. However, we are looking at 3 add 6 is 9, or 300 add 600 equals 900. So these addition facts that we've been using, it's really important to know that I can do, if I know that 3 add 6 is 9, 30 add 60 is 90, 300 add 600 is 900, 3000 add 6000 is 9000, etc, etc. Okay, so you're actually adding the values. Okay, we know that this is however many numbers would be in each column. So this is why I've still got my place value grid on the board, and we'll continue to do so until we need it. Okay, so I'm going to start with just 3 digits. In theory, if I can add 3 digits, I can add any number of digits, an infinite number of digits. Okay. Because as soon as I've got the skill and I know what I'm doing, it doesn't matter how big the number is. So you should have learned how to add 3 digits in year 3. Okay, so today, hopefully, I mean, a lot of you when we did this in class found this quite easy. Hopefully it's a little bit of revision, shouldn't be too long. Okay, if I had the number 345, I want to add the number 512, it should be quite simple. And the reason is because we're not going to carry over. None of these numbers, when we add them together, are going to bridge 10. They're not going to be more than 10 when we add them together. We always start with the lowest number, so we always start with the ones. The reason is because if we start adding with the highest digit, we end up getting confused, especially if one of the numbers bridge. So even though I know that these numbers aren't going to bridge, really important to make sure we start from the ones and we add forwards. So 5 ones add 2 ones is 7 ones. 4 tens add 1 10 is 5 tens. 300s add 500s is 800s. And again, nice and simple, nice and straightforward. Okay. As I said earlier, the first misconception comes when we've got 2 numbers that would add up to be more than a 10, where it's those number bonds, having that number fact knowledge, that could cause a problem. The next one is also when we bridge, when we add, for example, 3 and 8 makes 11. It's knowing what to do with that 10. We partition it into a 10 and a 1. We put the 1 in here, it's what to do with that 1. So just a quick recap here. I'm sure most of you already know this anyway, but just a quick recap anyway. So if I were to have the number, I'm just going to do it with just 1 so that we can see and just focus on that 1. So 348 add 236, for example. Again, I always start with my lowest number here, my ones column. 8 add 6. Hopefully by now you know it's 14. If you said 13 or 15 or anything like that, you know that you've probably made a mistake, or you know you've made a mistake. 8 add 6 is 14. Now, what a lot of people do, this is where the misconception comes from. Misconception is something that you might do and might think is correct without knowing, or it's a mistake that you make quite frequently. I might now go straight away and do 4 add 3 equals 7. Well, actually, I haven't finished this one yet. 8 add 6 is 14. That's 110 and 4 ones. What I'm going to do is just below this, I'm going to add another one. It's just as easy. I'm not going to put it under here. A lot of us, when we taught at school, put it under. If you do that, you're quite likely to forget. So either add it to the bottom, or if you're not using a place value chart, which a lot of you won't need to, just put it above, because then you're less likely to forget it. Because then when you're adding up, it'll be 1, add 4, add 3. 1 add 4 is 5, add 3, 8. Or 4 add 3 is 7, add 1 is 8. 300s add 200s would be 500s. So my answer to this calculation would be 584. Well, what I'm going to do now is going to put one that's going to involve two bridges for you to solve at home. So once I put it up, pause the video, give it a go, chat to your parents, brothers, sisters, whoever you're doing this with, and see how you go on. So it's going to be 739 add 426. If you can't see that, 739 add 426. Pause now. Okay, so by now, hopefully you've had time to pause the clock, work it out, see which ones are going to bridge, and hopefully we'll end up with the same answer at the end. So let's have a look, shall we? So 9 add 6 is 15, so 9 ones add 6 ones is 15. I need to put my 1 over, I'm going to put my 1 at the top. I prefer it at the top. 110 add 3 10s is 4 10s, add 2 10s, 6 10s. So it'll be a 60. And 700s add 400s would be 1100. So here, if you weren't quite sure what to do, I wouldn't just put 11 in here. If you're doing this normally, yes, you could. If you're doing a place value chart like I am, however, you would take your 1 to the next column. Okay, so my answer for 739 add 426 is 1165. Now, in theory, if you can do this, if you can do it with 3-digit numbers, you can do it with 6-digit numbers, you can do it with 7-digit numbers. Okay. In the Year 5 curriculum, it states that we have to do numbers above 5 digits. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a 6-digit number, because 5 is obviously above 6. I don't need to go stupid and do 12 digits, because chances of me needing to do a 12-digit and a 12-digit number are quite slim. So if you can do it, if you can do 6 digits, I'd say stop there. You don't need to worry about anything else. Okay. So at the end of this, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what to do. And then give you a bit of an activity where you're going to roll your own numbers or create your own numbers, add them together. If you don't feel like you need to watch this because you feel like actually I'm quite secure with this anyway, that's going to be the task. You can stop the video now if you choose to, or just carry on for the next 2 or 3 minutes if you want to anyway. Okay, so 6-digit number. I want one that's going to have a few bridges in there as well. So we're going to have 385,786. Add, very important to make sure I put my adding, so then I know if I'm adding or subtracting. Might make a silly mistake if not. We'll go 432,819. Okay, so it should be quite a lot of bridging this. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a chance to have a go at this at home, and we'll see if we get the right answer. If not, try and have a think about where you've made mistakes. Remember, if we make mistakes in maths, it's a good thing, because if we already know it all anyway, we're probably not learning anything. If we make mistakes, that's where we then therefore learn from our mistakes. And if we keep making those mistakes, we can see where we're making those mistakes. We know that's where we're making up. We know that's where we're going wrong. We know what we need to do to improve. Okay, so if you make a mistake in this, don't worry. Just try and have a look at where you make a mistake. It might be with the bridging. It might be within our addition and mental facts that we were practicing in the last lesson. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video now and have a go at home. Okay, so by now, hopefully you've had time to pause the video, have a go, and see. We'll now go through the answers, see if we get the right answer. So 6 ones add 9 ones is 15 ones. Put it down here so I've got a little bit more space. Could go at the top, could go at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. If you've already set out, so you've done a bit like this, you'll probably have space above the top. That's probably the best place to put it. 8 tens, add 1 10, add 1 10 is going to give me 10 tens or 100. That's why I've now got 1 in 100 column, because it's 10 tens. 700 add 800 is 1500. Add 1 would be 1600, so 600. And 10 hundreds being 1000 goes in the 1000 column. Put my comma in here to separate those threes like we talked about in the place value column, place value lesson in lesson 1, I think it was. Now look at the thousands. 5000 add 2000 add 1000 gives us 8000. 80,000 add 30,000, or 8 10,000s and 3 10,000s, bit of a mouthful. 80,000 add 30,000 be 110,000. And then 400,000, 300,000, 100,000 would give me 8. Okay, so 818,605. Hopefully I haven't made a mistake, but if any of you got the same, then it's probably right. Okay, so yeah, that's a quick recap, quick revision lesson on how to add using the column method. You use this probably for the rest of your life. Most of us, we might, if we have a calculator available, we might try and use a calculator where we can, including adults. Adults, don't lie, we know you use a calculator. I do as well most of the time. But it's a really good skill to have. So, but as soon as you know how to do 3 digits, 4 digits, 5 digits, you know how to do it. You don't need to practice it anymore. Okay. So an activity that you can do now would be to roll some dice, generate your own numbers, and add them. If you've got 5 or 6 numbers that have got at least 2 or 3 bits of bridging in, and you've got them all right, it's probably safe to say that you know how to add. You don't need to do 20, 30, 40, 50 of them. Okay. What you could do is to put them into some word problems. So if you've done 5, try and create some word problems using these. So for example, I might say that over 2 football match days, there were 385,786 people watching football on a Saturday, and then 432,819 people watched on a Sunday. How many people went to the football matches over the weekend? That could be a good way of doing it. Okay, so roll some numbers, generate your own numbers, and then see how you cope with them. Okay. Tomorrow we've only got 2 lessons left before Easter. I am going to be in school with the key worker children over Easter, so I won't have any time to upload any videos. So I think we're going to have 2 more videos. So the next lesson is going to be on subtracting facts, so a bit like the addition facts, subtraction facts, and then moving on to column subtraction as well. If you get a bit bored over the Easter holidays, make sure you keep practicing these. Anything you find a little bit difficult, keep going over, and times tables as well. So we're moving on to multiplication using long multiplication methods and short multiplication methods as well. So make sure you're practicing your times tables every single day if you can. Keep reading as well, keep using spelling frame, keep yourself busy. Right, see you later.